Welcome to this explainer. Okay, if you've been feeling this kind of unique exhaustion lately, trust me, you are absolutely not alone. We're living in a world where remote and hybrid work has literally rewritten the rulebook on how we operate. And sure, the flexibility is awesome, but the messy stuff, the blurred lines, the isolation, those endless notifications, all of that is super real and completely valid. So today, we're going to unpack exactly how to navigate this wild new landscape.
So, here's our game plan for today. We've put together a really solid roadmap, breaking things down into 5 main pillars: the remote work reality, beating digital fatigue, the power of routine, fueling the brain, and finally, growing your career. Let's get right into it. Starting off with Section 1, the remote work reality. We really have to start by acknowledging just how deeply this remote work revolution has changed our day-to-day lives. Get this. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, as of August 2023, nearly 1 in 5 Americans, that's 19.5%, were working remotely. And people really want this. Over 40% of office workers actually said they'd trade a chunk of their salary just for the chance to keep working from home. It's safe to say this is a permanent fixture of our modern world. But it's not all just sweatpants and zero commutes, right? We have to weigh the remote perks against the very real pitfalls. On the plus side, you've got amazing mental health benefits, unbeatable flexibility, more time with your family, and skipping that awful rush hour traffic. But the flip side is heavy. Studies actually show that fully remote and hybrid workers have a higher chance of dealing with anxiety and depression. The isolation, the lack of boundaries, and feeling like you can never truly clock out, it carries a massive mental cost. Psychiatrist Dr. Christopher N. Palmer brings up something fascinating about this. He points out that whenever you have massive disruptions to your life, you should naturally expect to experience some degree of stress until you find a new equilibrium. Honestly, that is so validating. Losing the structure of a traditional office creates actual psychological friction. It's just our brains and bodies reacting to a giant change in our routine. Which brings us to Section 2, beating digital fatigue. A huge chunk of that friction we just talked about, it comes directly from our screens. We are all dealing with digital tool fatigue. Basically, it's the mental, emotional, and physical burnout that hits you when you're using way too many apps and constantly switching gears. Seriously, think about your day, jumping from Slack to an email thread, over to a Zoom call, and then into a Google Doc. Research from Harvard Business Review found we toggle between apps around 1,200 times a day. No wonder our focus is completely fried.
And wait until you hear this, $450 billion. That's the estimated annual cost of lost productivity in the US alone, driven entirely by context switching. Every single time you bounce between apps, your brain has to completely reorient itself. Researchers call this attention residue. It adds up so fast. Over the course of a year, your average worker loses about 5 whole work weeks just trying to remember what they were doing before that last notification interrupted them. 5 weeks.
Okay, so how do we fix it? We need some concrete, immediate solutions. To tackle context switching, you've got to consolidate. Try using unified platforms like Good Day, for example, where your tasks, chats, and files all live in one single spot. To fight eye strain, prioritize your ergonomics and definitely use blue light filters. And as for notification overload, we have to stop treating every single ping like an emergency. Batch your communications to specific times, turn off those non-essential alerts, and fiercely protect your offline moments.
A brilliant way to take immediate physical action is the 20-20-20 rule. It's super simple but incredibly effective. Here's how it works. Every 20 minutes, look at something 20 feet away and just focus on it for 20 seconds. That's it. It's such an easy way to relax your eye muscles and instantly fight back against that screen-induced strain that's been quietly draining your energy all day long. All right, moving on to Section 3, the power of routine. As we strip away that traditional office environment, we're faced with a really tough question. How do we actually create boundaries when the office is literally inside our home? Without a physical commute to shift your brain from home mode to work mode, how do you stop your job from just bleeding into your personal life and creating one stressful, never-ending day? The secret is actively building your own daily structure. First, wake up at the same time every day to keep your internal clock happy. Next, actually get dressed. Trust me, putting on real clothes does wonders for your mindset. You also need to set up a specific, comfortable workspace. No more working from your bed 1 hour and the couch the next. Make sure you schedule actual breaks away from all your screens. And honestly, the most crucial step, define a hard stop for your workday so you can truly clock out. Dr. Palmer brings up another fantastic point here. He notes that having a predictable structure in place helps people get way more accomplished because it lets them go on autopilot. When you don't have to waste mental energy making a dozen tiny choices every morning, like where you're going to sit, when you'll eat lunch, or when to log off, you drastically cut down on decision fatigue. Your brain knows exactly what to expect, and your daily anxiety just drops.
Let's dive into section 4, fueling the brain. Because listen, all the structure in the world won't save you if your biological engine is running on empty. Check out this wild stat. The human brain makes up only about 2% of our total body weight, but it burns through 20% of our body's energy. It's an absolute powerhouse that demands premium fuel, mainly glucose. So if your diet is poor, it directly messes with your insulin and metabolism, which is exactly what leads to that horrible brain fog, anxiety, and cognitive decline. To keep that 20% energy burn running smoothly, the experts at Stanford Lifestyle Medicine highlighted a few absolutely essential nutrients. You've got omega-3 fatty acids, like you'd find in walnuts or salmon, which are huge for boosting memory and learning. Then there are antioxidants from colorful fruits to protect your brain against inflammation and stress. And you definitely need B vitamins to support your energy metabolism. This is literally the premium fuel your mind requires to stay sharp. When we look at the big picture of what we eat, two diets really stand out for optimizing both metabolism and brain power. First is the ketogenic diet, which is high fat and low carb. In a recent Stanford trial, people on keto saw an incredible 32% drop in psychiatric symptoms. That is huge. Then you have the Mediterranean diet, which is packed with whole grains and healthy fats. That one is proven to improve memory and even lower the risk of dementia. Changing what you eat can quite literally rewire how your brain performs. And finally, section 5, growing your career. Once you've crushed digital fatigue, dialed in your daily routine, and fueled your brain, you are basically operating at peak performance. So here's my question for you. Are you ready to take the next step in your career? Because when you feel good physically and mentally, you finally have the bandwidth to actively build your future rather than just surviving the daily grind. And if you are ready to make a leap, keep this number in mind. Candidates who get referred by a connection are 7 times more likely to get the job compared to someone just applying through standard job boards. 7 times. It's a staggering stat that completely proves networking is still your absolute best career multiplier. So how do you actually get those referrals? Well, there are 4 key avenues for modern networking. First is LinkedIn. Fun fact, 7 people are hired every minute on there, so building your personal brand is an absolute must. Second, hit up in-person events to build quick, genuine rapport. Third, join professional groups to share ideas and resources. And fourth, please don't ignore the network you already have. Reach out to past coworkers, friends, or teachers. They're usually your biggest advocates. As we wrap up this explainer, I really want you to take this to heart. The goal here isn't perfection, it's progress. Building a new routine, tweaking your diet, wrangling your messy digital life, all of that takes time. So be kind to yourself while you're developing these new habits. Continuous self-improvement is a journey, and taking it one step at a time is exactly how you find real balance and lasting career success. So I'm going to leave you with one final thought to mull over today. Which of these 5 pillars are you going to optimize today to completely transform your workday? Are you finally going to tackle that digital tool fatigue, set a strict cutoff time for your evening routine, or maybe upgrade your brain's nutrition? Just pick one thing, start today, and watch how much it changes the game for you. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.